foremost, I want to thank all of you for being here for the 24th Bike Story Night. And second, I want to thank all the volunteers. Please raise your hand, volunteers. Do a shimmy. Yes, 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 yes. All of you are so amazing. This team, thank you so much to all the volunteers for helping out. Jordan, thank you. My name's Valerie. If we haven't had a chance to meet, I am the creator of Bike Story Night. We have been hosting Bike Story Night here in Austin and a couple of other cities in Texas for nearly 5 years now. Bike Story Night is a dream project that came to me when I had a little more time on my hands during the beginning of COVID, the pandemic. And some of you may have heard this story, so I'm sorry, I'll try to mix it up a little bit. But I just have to reiterate that this is something that I thought long and hard about. You know, I had been doing events for other organizations for years, and I finally felt like I wanted to do my own event. And for years I had been organizing group rides. I've always loved visual storytelling, and I love, love, love bringing people together, especially when it's intention. I feel like there's so much magic and joy that happens, you know? And I just kind of wanted to see what would happen, and it kind of worked out. People asked at the very first event when the next one was going to be, and it felt so right. And throughout the process, I've realized that it has just awakened so many parts of me that I had pushed aside. And so I'm so glad that I took that time to just search more. And I highly encourage you to look up Ikigai if you haven't heard about it, because I think that's basically what I was doing. I didn't really grow up riding bikes. My first bike was a strawberry shortcake tricycle. It was amazing. I don't have too many memories of it. I was really young. And then my second bike was a really sweet purple banana seat bike that was too big for me. So it was kind of more decoration in the back of the photos as a child, really. I don't have any photos of me riding it. I didn't ride with my crew growing up. But then, you know, several years later, I got to borrow someone's bike, and it was that beautiful feeling, you know, when you're riding down the street and, you know, the weather's nice, and suddenly you have all of this freedom that just like bursts inside and out of you, and you have that feeling, right? You all know, everybody, yes, that it's such a magical feeling. And so luckily, you know, flash forward to about 10 years later, someone bought me a bike from a pawn shop because they wanted to ride a bike with me, which was really, really sweet, and I think really, really ignited the future of Bike Story Night. And then because I had that bike and fell in love with bikes and that, you know, whole process, and got to learn more about it, I met two other people that had these really amazing bikes, and then they were leaving town and they gave me their bikes too. And then suddenly I thought, what if I rode bikes around with other people to cafes or something? So I made these flyers, draw these flyers, and sorry about the train. I'm gonna do my best to do it. Made these flyers, went to my local bike shop because I thought that would be a move. Put up my flyer, you know, told a few people, and that Saturday, no one showed up. But I tried again, you know, no one showed up, and I didn't really give up hope. I just felt like my city isn't really built, doesn't have the infrastructure in deep South Texas. So it didn't crush me because I had all these bikes, you know, it's still great. And then flash forward to about 10 years or so, and I moved to Austin, and I started seeing these group rides and getting more involved with the community and riding with people, and it was just, you know, what my heart really needed to build up my strength, all of the things, you know, my community. And, you know, fast forward to another 10 years later, and here we are at Bike Story Night. So I just can't reiterate enough that it's such an amazing tool, and I'm so glad, or, you know, machine, so glad that to see, I think most of you here are here for Bike Story Night, and you must also have had experiences with riding and having bikes throughout your life. So that's fairly the gist of of Bike Story Night. I hope to talk with you more if I haven't had a chance to talk with you yet. You don't know the rest of my story because my story is a little bit more in depth, but I won't take up too much time because we have 6 amazing storytellers who have signed up. Let's give it up. So excited to have them. We also have time for a couple of wild cards. So if you're interested in sharing a story, you didn't know what Bike Story Night was, you didn't know the gist, you're gonna get the gist, and if you decide, you know what, I do have a story and I do want to share it tonight, the wildcard submission forms are over with Eddie and Melissa at the check-in. And then at the very end, we have time for what's called community plugs, and that's an opportunity for anyone to come up to the mic and talk with the audience for 30 seconds about anything you want to plug. If it's a ride, if it's a bike shop, if it's a bake shop that you want to plug, you can totally come up here for 30 seconds and share it with this audience because it seems like we're already building this community and we want to keep on, growing and connecting. So it's just another opportunity for that. I believe that is the gist. I'll be around if you have some questions. Oh, we have some prizes. Thank you so much for your donation. Really, really appreciate you. We can't, continue to be a sustainable organization. We are grassroots. We're not umbrellaed under Holdout or under, some other big bike brand or the city or anything like that. We're completely grassroots. So thank you so much. We'll be giving away some prizes throughout the night. Stay tuned for those amazing prizes here. They're listed on your program as well. $50 gift card to Mantis Massage. Thank you, Mantis. $50 to Holdout Brewing Company. Some amazing bandanas from Tomii. Really cool bike stuff from BikeALot. Bike Story Night t-shirt. There ATX made some prize packs. We have a really cool book from Reverie. By the way, I'm so glad to have There ATX with us tonight. If you have not had a chance to talk with Lee, you're going to learn more about There ATX. Does everybody here know about There ATX? No? Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad. There ATX is an amazing organization. You should definitely tune in and stay connected. So without further ado, let me introduce Lee from There ATX, and then we'll start the stories.
All right. My name is Lee. I'm with There ATX. We are a division of Austin Transportation and Public Works. What we do is we try to encourage people to get around town in some way other than driving alone. So bicycling, busing, train, carpooling, walking. At our website, There ATX, we have all kinds of cool tips that are especially good for first timers. I'm guessing when it comes to biking, none of y'all are first timers, but take a look anyway. You might find something helpful there. I have lots of swag at the table over there. The swag isn't entirely free. I ask that you scan our QR code and follow us on Instagram. And if you're not on Instagram, then that's fine. It's free anyway. That could have been better time. I have tote bags, I have fanny packs, I have very cool Austin bike map showing you the safest routes around town and some that you should probably avoid. We've got this new swag, which I've never seen before. It's a multi-tool, bicycle-shaped repair tool. It's got a little screwdriver on it and some wrenches. So come grab one of those. And something called an ass saver. You'll just have to come see what that is. I had to drive alone tonight to bring you this swag, and it sucked, so you better make it worth my while.
Amazing. All right. That sounds better. I like this. Yeah, the train's gone. Perfect timing. I'm about to introduce the first storyteller, so I also wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping reminders. Please give these storytellers who have spent time practicing their stories getting ready to share their stories with you here tonight. So I would love to ask you all to do me a favor and put your phones away, put your phones on silent. If you are a doctor, nurse, anything along those lines, please, I understand, leave your phones on, but if you have to make any phone calls or texts, I would love to ask you to please excuse yourself to the very back. Also, please limit the conversations. I totally understand. It's so nice to see all of our friends here in this lovely venue with all of the other amazing bike folks. But please, please respect the storytellers and give them your ears. If you all have heard me give this housekeeping message, please give me a little wave. Okay, I know where the people are talking now. I will go say it again. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our very first storyteller, Kathy Brewer. Yeah. Also have good housekeeping. Thank you. Clapping for stories, definitely essential. Kathy's story has a lot of triumphs and resilience throughout her life. Kathy got to ride lots of miles with her dad, which I am very envious of because, again, I didn't ride as a child. So I love when I get to hear a story that, is something about something that I haven't really had a chance to do and live vicariously through this. Kathy also has, her story will touch a little bit on the beginning of the pandemic as well, which I feel like I will resonate a lot with so much. So, and probably lots of you too, if you also maybe got just back into biking or fell further in love with biking at that time. So thank you so much for being here tonight and lending your ears. Let's get started with our very first storyteller. Give it up for Kathy Brewer.
Thank you, Valerie. Can you all hear me okay? Awesome. Please pardon my voice. I am coming out of a weird illness, so if I'm a little off here, we're just gonna work with what we got tonight. I'm a pretty avid cyclist and come by it through my dad. There he is. He's been in a bike saddle for the last 50 years. When my dad was in his 20s, he spent much of his time bike touring all over Europe. Early on in his relationship with my mom, he put her through what sounded like the stress test of a 3-day bike trip from Columbia to St. Louis, Missouri. Upon their arrival there, I'm told that my great aunt had to convince my mom not to break up with my dad. She didn't, and years later, in the mid-'80s, they were living together in Medellin, Colombia, where my dad would ride his bike around the perimeter of a drug compound belonging to Pablo Escobar. I'm not kidding. Even after my brother and I came into the picture, that's him. Even after my brother and I came into the picture, my dad's bike was his primary mode of transportation. And there are plenty of photos like this of the three of us together, my brother and me in kiddie bike carriers, trailing my dad on tricycles or on this contraption whose name now escapes me. It's from the 90s. When I was about 8, my parents had this big fight over whether my dad could take my brother and me on a 2-month bike trip from Tijuana, Mexico to Vancouver, Canada. That trip never happened. My mom won the argument, but my dad's consolation prize was he got to purchase this huge, hulking, heavy, tandem recumbent bicycle. This is actually not it. Maybe the next picture. I definitely added a picture of it in here.
Some of those slides are black. I think this is the next one.
Well, you can use your imagination. It was this giant bike. And my dad's reasoning was that I was too small to ride independently for the sort of routes he had in mind, like Tijuana to Vancouver. So the back seat of this tandem became my designated spot. And it remained that way through my high school graduation. Now, I want to emphasize that riding on this bike with my dad meant that I was downwind of him. And while my dad has many admirable qualities, social grace and subtlety aren't the finest among them. So he would burp and fart and heckle everyone on the street, pedestrians, drivers, other cyclists. If you were on the road when my dad was on the road, you got some feedback from him. He still does this, by the way. The hardest on me, though, was he would hawk these loogies, which, of course, because of physics, would fly around and hit the face of his mortified passenger. So as you can imagine, when it came time for me to go to college, I was very interested in moving as far away from my dad and the tandem as money could get me. So I enrolled at the University of Texas, hook 'em, a cool 600 miles away from my father and the godforsaken tandem. What a relief. But Dad's fanaticism for cycling left its mark on me. I got a bike of my own and rode my way from undergrad into adulthood. I rode my bike through all the ups and downs that involved. The education, the jobs, the moves, the friendships, the relationships, the births, the deaths, money stuff, family stuff, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. One particularly tricky time occurred during COVID. The pandemic had a major impact on my personal life by bringing these cracks that existed in my engagement to the surface, so much that I couldn't ignore them. And that year, I made a difficult decision to end that engagement just before Thanksgiving. And then I got on my bike. I started riding this 10-mile loop from South Lamar to the Capitol via South Congress. I took this ride every day, rain or shine, like clockwork. There wasn't much else to do, it was COVID. I memorized, oh, there it is. It's working. That's the route. I memorized every crack in the pavement, every bend in the road, the timing of every street light. I watched countless sunsets cross the skyline, which is a great view if you're coming up from South Lamar. And I stared at the Capitol, all politics aside, whose beauty always caught my eye in the moonlight. I listened to books and music and podcasts. I talked to my friends and family on the phone. I thought about the engagement, why it needed to end, and how I could move forward into the murky waters of dating in my 30s. And somewhere along the course of those couple thousand miles, I arrived at a place of peace. I wouldn't be who I am today without the childhood my father gave me or the sense of adventure and strength I inherited from him. With that said, he's not the most emotionally available man I know. Talking about feelings has never really been his thing. He's too busy yelling at people on the street. There have been times, though, that I've wished that he would say what is so clearly on his mind. Things like, I feel sad, or I miss you. But I understand why he loves cycling so much. Sometimes I wonder what he thinks about when he rides, how he feels. And I can only imagine all that he's processed on a bike over the years. From Missouri to Europe, to Colombia, to Texas, the tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of miles of emotion and experience he's pedaled through. For me, relief from struggle is not about its absence. Relief from struggle is about how you move through it. And what is a bike but an instrument we use to move through the world? My dad and I both get this. We have a shared, if unspoken, understanding. And it's through that understanding that when I ride, I feel close to my dad. I feel him with me. I know he gets it. And for that, I'm grateful. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Diana and it's my honor to introduce the next speaker, Martina Clifton. Now Martina has been riding her entire life. She's a bike commuter, bike enthusiast, and a forager. And she's here to talk about her philosophy of cycling and how that ties to place and how that place is our beloved Austin, Texas. So please give a warm welcome to Martina. Funny how cycling entered my life because it gave me speed and distance. But now it's my preferred mode of transportation, primarily because it slows me down and limits my distance. It helps me, it guards me against that increasing propensity to speed life up. It also gets me outside, moving my body, breathing fresh air. It helps me to see things and smell things and hear things and process things. It helps me to be more connected to seasons and weather. And it helps me to notice when a plant is ripe and available for foraging. Bonus, my bungee cord collection is pretty big because of my slower life in the bike lane. So I'm a mom raising 3 kids and a wife, raising 3 kids, homeschooling them in Central East Austin. My soul loves to adventure in wild places far from civilization, but I'm deeply committed to this place and people I call home. So I will now take you on a joyride through the decades of my life and share how cycling has helped me to love life in Austin, Texas. So as a kid, a bike was the means in which I had freedom within my neighborhood. I was able to access friends and Slaughter Creek. Jump ahead to the summer before I turned 16 and I wanted a job. But there were only 2 businesses that I could somewhat safely bike to from our neighborhood. And I ended up getting a job working at the cafe at the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center. Great place. I then went to UT, where I was daily on my bike around campus, up at the intramural fields. And my senior year there, I joined up with 40 other students, and we planned and executed the very first Texas 4000 bike ride to Alaska. So it was the summer of 2004, and over the course of 70 days, we cycled 4,000 miles to reach Anchorage. I had just graduated college. This formative ride exposed me to all sorts of people and places and ways of living, and I will continue to be inspired by one gentleman we met when our bike touring journeys crossed over one afternoon in Wyoming. And he shared that he had given up fossil fuels and he was on his way to a friend's wedding just a few states to the east. I then spent most of my 20s back in Austin, working at an office, spending an inordinate amount of time behind a computer screen. But here was my saving grace. I lived in East Austin and I worked off of Bee Cave Road. And that put my bike commute journey right through the heart of Austin. And so twice a day, I get to get a pulse on the life and happenings of Austin. From South by, ACL, Trail of Lights, to morning swims at Barton Springs, Dollaritas at El Arroyo, Bike to Work Day coming up May 15th. And I observed the Austin skyline densifying, propagating taller structures. And I entered my 30s with a similar storyline. On my 30th birthday, I found out I was pregnant with my oldest, and I spent every day of my 30s pregnant or breastfeeding. These life changes didn't slow me down on a bike though. I just had to sometimes spread my knees out to my elbows to make room for my big belly, and my babies quickly got used to a bumpy bike trailer ride. Sorry kids, you did not have a choice to this lifestyle choice. Speaking of not having a choice, I'm now in my 40s. My kids are all on their own bikes. My husband has grown to appreciate the lifestyle. You might catch us biking in a line on a Sunday morning on our way to church, much in the spirit of the Egyptian geese at Barton Springs. Mama, duckling, 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 papa. My kids have a growing number of places that they're allowed to bike to by themselves. And parents, I suspect we're doing our kids and the earth and ourselves a disservice by driving our kids' asses to so many destinations, if I can say that. I really feel like there is a better route to empowerment and formation by teaching them to mobilize themselves. So you may have boxed me in as a crunchy granola mom, and I totally am. But in that, I have great joy in supporting butterflies and birds on their migration journeys. And I have added touring cyclists to that list. I've been a warm showers host for almost 2 decades. And what that means is we provide the touring cyclists with a place to rest and regroup. And we in turn get real, live, and relevant adventure stories from all over the globe. So a couple of years ago, we hosted a retired forest ranger named John. And when John arrived on our front porch, he said, "A redhead named Martina, were you and another girl cycling the Pacific Coast Highway 15 years ago?" Yeah, sure enough, my friend Kim and I stayed at his ranger station in the woods of Northern California. And we so desperately needed that respite because we were trying to cycle north on the PCH in November as winter was trying to blow us south. So it was such an honor to return that favor to John. Okay, I'm gonna teach you guys a word because I'm a homeschool mom and I just learned it. It excited me. The word is propinquity. Say it with me now. Propinquity. It's the effect of people tend to be in relationship to the people they frequently encounter, okay? And I've come to learn the secret key to living and loving life in Austin. It's to live within a bikeable radius. And yes, that bikeable radius shrinks with time and age, but as this radius is shrinking for me, I have increased propinquity. I have more frequent interactions with my neighbors, now friends, on my street and on the Boggy Creek Trail and at Rosewood Pool. So it turns out that there are good and beautiful things that come from living a slower and simpler life when we choose to live within the limits of our body's mobility. It's become a greatest compliment to me when somebody says that they thought twice about getting in their car because of me and chose to walk or bike somewhere. And when I pass from this world, I would be most honored if those who are able could gather on bike and remember me as that crazy lady who always showed up with those Texas-sized pit stains and her right pant leg rolled up.
All right, I have the great honor of introducing Matt, aka Wags. Matt did a solo ride from Reno to Oakland in 2 days, 300 miles, which is a comedy of errors story. Wags, to his friends, English-born, lived in the States for the past 15 years, cycled all across America, raced Cat 3 once upon a time, and moved to Austin 2 years ago from New York, where he spent 13 years. He's a former chef, now brand strategist, and researcher for big brands. And Wags loves gardening. Please welcome to the stage, Wags.
Yo, 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 yo. How's it going, everybody? Here we are. So this is the UK. This is where I'm from, Southampton down here. For anyone that's been, it's, well, south of London, hence the name. I grew up cycling bikes. My first bike was a little chopper. I called it the stunt bike because I used to do little jumps on it. And this guy is my older brother, David. And David, many, many years ago was into spinning, and he got me into that. And when I was growing up, I would cycle my bike to go and see my mates and see my girlfriend and whatnot. And I'd ride to school occasionally, you know, it was cycling to get around. And then I moved to New York 15 years ago and made that seminal transition to when you ride in Lycra. You know, I feel like that's the big divide when you go from t-shirt riding to full, I want to carry things on my back, you know, don't need a bag, I want clip-in shit, the whole thing. And I took it seriously. I started spinning, and then I did racing, and then I got into a training program and all that. But that aside, the thing that I loved to do was challenge myself on these very long rides, and I did a bunch of it in France and across the States, and initially in New York, of course, where I lived. And this is a story of a ride I did from Reno to Oakland in 2 days, which for context for people in Texas is San Antonio to Dallas, except with a big mountain in the middle of it. And I embarked on this folly, really, to go and see my friend Teddy, who just bought a place in San Francisco in the Bay Area, in Oakland. And I didn't really plan it that well. I just saw it as a bit of a test, which is sort of what I envision these things to be. You know, it's solo riding at this huge length. There's a point in the ride where you think, this is a big mistake, I shouldn't have taken this on. But you're here and you've got to finish it, and so you've got to sort of find that in yourself, and I know that going into it, so what does that say about me? I'm not sure. But anyway, I set off on this ride, a very casual 10 a.m. in the morning, and I flew to Reno, went to the FedEx, mailed the bike bag to Oakland, and now the timer starts. I've got a return flight, I've got to get there, I've got to get the bike bag, and now I'm just wearing my Lycra, you know, and a pretty heavy bike, I'd say. The bike is a Venge race bike, if anyone knows what those are, but this one had 4 water bottles, 2 frame bags, a bag in the handlebars, and so the thing weighed quite a lot. The rig was pretty heavy. So I set off from this cute little place, and within about 3 miles, double flats. I get those little, you know, those little spurs or whatever they're called, the little thorny guys. Yeah, here we go, these guys. So within 3 miles, I've used my entire patch kit, 12 patches done. and the time to fix it, of course. So I think, this is bad news. I better see where a bike shop is. I guess we go to a bike shop, and then I get a new bunch of, you get new tubes, new patch kits. Now it's like midday, and I see this mountain in front of me, which is not insignificant. You know, we're talking like a 4,000-foot climb, which Phil Gaiman, for those that know who is a professional cyclist, he has the KOM on this thing, which is to say he's the fastest in the world at doing this thing. It took him an hour. It took me 2.5 hours, which is not as slow as I thought I'd be, and was quite grueling, honestly. It was, you know, I'm stopping for photos, but the whole thing was exhausting. And by the way, this is in Nevada heat in August, so, you know, it's also pretty punishing. Also, here's my first pro tip for the tour. Those shades are those phototropic things. If you don't know, check them out. If you are doing a ride that is longer than about 3 or 4 hours and you think light is going to change, these are your friends. So, phototropic lenses, number one advice. I get to the top of this thing, exhausted, I'm snacking on my little M&Ms, which is my pro tip number 2. The best food snack for cycling, I think. You've got protein, sugar, they're little good sample size, you know, good portion size. You can share them, and people don't want to take all of them, so you know, you can like hand them around and keep most of them back, actually. So yeah, M&Ms, pro tip number 2. I get to the top of the big climb here, and I'm racing down this 7% grade for, I think it was like 6 miles. 6 mile downhill, like the first time I'd ever ridden downhill for 6 miles. Into the Lake Tahoe. Never been to Lake Tahoe. It was, for those that haven't been, it's, imagine a beach and a forest shaken together and then like thrown out a bunch of millionaire houses. It's quite something. So I'm cycling along these beautiful windy roads, these gorgeous houses everywhere, feeling deeply accomplished that I've just climbed this monster. And I get to a bar, and I hold up, I get a margarita, I go for a swim, no less, in the lake. I charge all my equipment there, you know, and having a whale of a time, thinking this is just such a good idea. And yeah, here's the beach, yeah, amazing. I don't remember if I was swimming in a swimsuit or in the naked. I'm not, because you do not swim in the chamois. Pro tip number 3, don't ever do that. And so I'm having a good time, and then it occurs to me that I've got 60 miles left in this thing, and the sun is getting low, and it's another uphill stint. I've got to climb back out of the lake area now. So with a not insignificant degree of panic, I gather my stuff, put the bike together, start the climb, and it gets dark and darker and darker and darker, and this is eventually what I'm left with. And I hadn't brought bike lights. A, because I thought I'd get there by now, and I had underestimated my flat tire situation and the climb and the weight of the bike and the margarita. And I thought that they'd be street lights. Cycling in New York, I thought, well, surely there's going to be, you know, some street illumination. No, not at all. This is the first of many pan-American rides, so I learned a lot of lessons on this one. But so next pro tip: get a light. So get to the top of part of it, and coming down now. So because I'm going quite fast, and I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I'm getting cold. So I stop and I put on all the clothes that I have. Every t-shirt, every pair of jeans, everything, you know, I'm now trying to keep as warm as I can. And I'm trying to guide myself on this little white line that I can scarcely see, praying there's not a pothole or a deer or something in the way, because I wouldn't be able to see it, let alone stop. And I look up and I see the Milky Way in all its purples and blues. It's magnificent. I've never seen anything like it, except perhaps on a David Attenborough's documentary or something. And here it is. It's just me in the cosmos. It's breathtaking to think about it, really. And there's wolves howling in the woods over here, and I think I better keep moving. And there's another downhill piece, another uphill piece. At one point, an 18-wheeler, or however many wheels it is, one of those big-ass trucks comes wheeling around with his brights on, and I'm dazzled, I can't see a thing. Now I can't see the cosmos. So I eventually get to the Airbnb, and it's a can of Coke, and God knows what else is there, but I'm devouring that. Wake up the next morning, and I've got day 2. So, 150 miles isn't nothing. With 10,000 feet of climbing, it's pretty brutal. Now I've got to kind of do the whole thing again. Now in smelly lycra. So but the first 40 miles of it, and check this out. Forget 6 miles downhill. How about 40 miles downhill? So cruising down this winding pine redwood forest path. The difference for me about cycling and any other, like driving or riding a motorcycle perhaps, is you can smell the road, and you can smell the plants, the trees, you can feel the difference in temperatures, you can feel the wind against the bike. You're more, it's more of a tactile experience of the place that you're in, which to me builds a different memory of it. I'm not just going through it, I'm actually in it. And seeing these views is just so incredible. And on the way down from this route, went through a little town called Volcano. This is one of the 6 buildings in Volcano. There's an amphitheater there. It's an old mining town, gold mining town. Super cute. And there's no reason to be up here at all, unless you're you are one of the 100 people that live there, or you're cycling from Reno to Oakland, which I have to assume no one's done before. Why would you do it? It's a sort of silly thing to do, really. Anyway, so I get down into the valley and these big rolling hills. It's an alien landscape for me, being from England. You never see almond trees and these reservoirs and the orchards and redwood forests. It's like something out of a storybook, really. And I get to this place called Stockton. If anyone is from Stockton, I apologise. It's not very nice in Stockton. There's a very nice coffee shop in Stockton, but that's about it. Happy to recommend that. And then I get into these crazy flats, super windy, no roadside, no cycle lanes or anything like that. So you're in with all the traffic. A cyclist is probably the last person there thinking that they'll see on the road. And then I get to the foothills of this pass, and it's called, what's it called, Margaret? The Ultimate Pass. It sounds like something out of Harry Potter. The Ultimate Pass is the sort of beginning of the end of the thing, and it's the only way to explain it is that if anyone has seen Teletubbies, it's this barren sort of rolling hillside with wind farms everywhere. It's quite a surreal experience to see. Yeah, here we are. This is it, and so the whole thing is sort of a crazy voyage into, well, frankly, into yourself. That's how I have experienced cycling. I've never really cycled with people, except when I was, in New York and I was in the race team there. But when I grew up cycling, I was on my own. These long distance rides, I'm on my own. My dad didn't cycle, my mum didn't cycle, no one really, my older brother David, I suppose, but he and I aren't actually that close. And so to me, cycling has been a relationship with myself. And when I think about little Wags when I was 12 or 13 and 15, 16, doing those kind of rides. And then when I'm, how old was I here? This is about 6 years ago. So I'm just about to be 40. And thinking about, moving to America, living here, where I am in life, what I'm achieving and so on, and working through those kind of, those challenges that you set for yourself, which of course this is a challenge you set for yourself. And there's something deeply therapeutic I find about solo riding. It's not just the physical challenge, which of course is a big payoff. But anyway, so I get to the fight. That was my Eminem prompt. This is Teddy. He's very happy to see me. Unfortunately, my bike bag hadn't arrived, and so now I've got to find this bike bag on a Labor Day weekend at a FedEx depot in Oakland, which is about as fun as it sounds. And after maybe half an hour on the phone and an hour in the depot and sneaking backstage where I wasn't supposed to be, I eventually found the big red bag and packed the bike up and flew back to New York. And yeah, that's what 280 miles in 2 days looks like. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Wags, everyone. How are y'all doing? Yeah? 3 storytellers so far. I feel like each one has been taking us different places, and we still have 3 more to come. I know Liz is taking us to Taiwan, Japan, sorry. Hi. Japan, excited for that. But we're about to roll into intermission. 10 minutes, y'all, you'll have. But before that, I wanted to raffle off a prize, a $50 gift card to Holdout Brewing Company. So get your tickets out. If you are ready, I'm gonna call out this ticket. I hope you win. Last 3 digits are 754. 754. Are you here? 564754. Yay! Probably should grab them. All right. Thank you to Holdout. Appreciate it. I love being here. Have y'all enjoyed the food? You're enjoying the drinks and food? Has anyone never been here before? First time? Okay, awesome. Let's do another gift card or raffle prize. This one's gonna be the Reverie book, Women on Wheels. I took a peek inside this book. I'm serious. I'm gonna go buy it myself, I think, at Reverie because it was amazing. So I'm super stoked to give away this prize as well right now. All right, get your tickets ready. Last 3 digits are 716. 716. All right, Nate. Yes, enjoy. All right, everyone. Please come back in 10 minutes. We will get the stories rolling. We are on a schedule, so get your restroom, your stretch break in, and we will see you in a few for more stories. Oh, hello. Just a tiny little intermission to say thanks so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the stories. This event at Holdout Brewing Company was definitely one to remember. I also wanted to let you know that if you are interested in sharing a story at one of our next events, just a reminder, you can always reach out, Valerie at bikestorynight.com. You can also check out our website. There's lots of great information there, some pro tips for sharing your story, and details to learn more about us as well. Sign up for our newsletter, lots of fun stuff. So I hope you're enjoying the stories. Stay tuned, there's lots more to come. If you can hear me, let's give another round of applause for the storyteller so far. Thank you, Wags. Kathy, forgetting, I don't have my notes. Martina, thank you very much. So many things in my mind. Thank you so much for being here once again here at Holdout Brewing Company. We have a couple more prizes to give out. I'm gonna go ahead and give out one more. This is for Bike Story Night swag. T-shirts, stickers. There are stickers, I forgot to pull those. All right, last 3 digits, 740. 740. I hope you're here, 740. Maybe we'll give them a minute. Okay, another ticket, 736. 736. I'm gonna hold on. Oh, we have one. Okay, Bike Story Night swag coming to you, Kyra. While I'm giving Kyra, okay. I'll see you in a minute. I'll go ahead and hand over the mic to our next introducer, Jordan, who is also the co-producer of this event, and it couldn't truly happen without him and all of his support, my partner in crime and life and all things, Jordan, the introducing for Janna.
Hi, everybody. So, a number of years back, we decided to buy a place here in Austin, and we were privileged to be able to do that. And it was in the Montopolis neighborhood, and part of what brought us to make that decision was bike pedestrian infrastructure that connected that neighborhood to the rest of the city through the Lady Bird Lake Trail network. And about a year after we, moved in, there was some pretty amazing floods, unprecedented floods, and that bridge slowly collapsed and was no more. And so I'm so happy to have Janna here to talk about the city's work to get funding and engineering of all the hydrology to make a new bridge that connects us to that network once again. It's now in place, and I've gotten to ride over probably 100 times now since the last few months. So I'm really excited to get the full story from her and how her bike story intersects with that.
Hello. I am Janna. This is not a story about my bike life. I'm so sorry, and I wasn't prepared for this, but I'm going to be real nerdy and talk about infrastructure and the land that the infrastructure sits on, right? So, is this too loud? Too soft? Too perfect? Great. Okay, I have a ton of slides, y'all, because I work for the city, and this is what we do. And so Jameson and I have we're going to just flow real awesome with it. I have this so I can see which slide is next and watch my time. 8:42, here we go. Okay, next slide, James. Okay, all right, so where are we in space? I will take you where we are in time later, but in space, we are in Roy G. Guerrero, Colorado River Metropolitan Park. It is east of 35. It is downstream of Lady Bird Lake. It is west of Highway 183. It's just north of Riverside. And I took you all the way to Ben White because this blue line running through the map is Country Club Creek West. And west matters because there is an east, and that's part of the story. Okay, next. Okay, zooming in on the park, the green outline you can barely see, that's the park boundaries. Colorado River there on the north, Country Club Creek West, right through the middle of the park. You can see Longhorn Dam is visible there, and Lady Bird Lake. If you don't know, Longhorn Dam is the last dam in the Highland Lake chain, so from here to the Gulf, no lakes. Don't fact check me, but I'm sure. Okay, wait. Get your Wayne and Garth flashbacks ready. Okay, notable infrastructure, new Wishbone Bridge. Not my project. Mine is much smaller. But Montopolis Bridge, also very cool bike infrastructure. There are trails through Roy G, which can connect very beautifully those two things if you can get over the creek. How would we get over the creek? Not like this. Oh man. I'm so sorry, Jordan. Yeah. Okay, so this is 2015. It's actually 2016 because the bridge did fail in the floods of 2015, and then the creek continued to erode around it. And this is just more dramatic than the very, right after the flood picture. So, how did we get there? This story starts in 1976. Next slide. Okay, 1976, when the world was in black and white, of course. There was a new development on Riverside Drive. This was in red in the bottom, Country Club Creek, period. I happened to go through this developer site. Oh no, whoops, there's floodplain there, but we want to put buildings. We didn't have a lot of environmental regulations, but we did have some floodplain regulations that said, well, you can't put buildings there. And in the hubris of the 1976 civil engineering community, we said, floodplain, who cares? We will move that creek somewhere else. And that's this, that's this yellow line, so they call this the bypass channel. And it picked up this entire watershed for Country Club Creek, and it created west and east. East is basically kind of like abandoned. It's like a sad little watershed now. But everything from Ben White all the way north to the river, it's not our biggest watershed, but it is a sizable creek, now goes through this bypass channel. Okay, next slide. Okay, the engineering plans are like 10 pages long, and they are written by hand, which amazes me as an engineer. Okay, and this is, there's this cool note that at the very end of the plan, like on the 10th page, it's like, how are we gonna get the water to the river? Oh, this future concrete spillway that's gonna be 25 feet tall, but guess what? This note says, somebody else will do it, right? 1976, y'all. Okay, next slide. Okay, so we all call ourselves creek freaks and watershed. I want y'all to all walk out feeling a little more creek freaky. So my first creek freak moment, number one, is a head cut. No, I didn't hurt myself on my bike. Although never mind. Okay, so personal stories for later. Okay, so a head cut is a feature in a creek, river, stream where you have a sudden elevation change in the bed. It just drops off. So think of waterfall, and to be dramatic, we will think of Niagara Falls. Okay, so if you go visit Niagara Falls today and then you go back next year, it will probably still be in the same place, I think. I found out today it has moved 7 miles in 12,000 years. Okay, so it is moving though, because any head cut, any waterfall will continue to erode the surface of that waterfall, the soil underneath it or the rock underneath it, and it will continue to move up its river valley. So it'll keep moving upstream. So that elevation difference, the creek, the river, the channel is always trying to lower itself to that bottom elevation. So then what happens? Canyons, right? So just keep this idea in mind. You're all now creek freaks with us. Congratulations. Okay, next. Okay, so 1976, this is an aerial, again, black and white world. This is the end of the channel, and it just stops. There's this squiggly line, I just drew that because I'm like, well, what does the water want to do? It's like, I'm going to get here to the Colorado River somewhere. Okay, we're going to go through time. 1997, I don't know what took us so long to get another picture, but you can see over here in the yellow arrow 1, you're starting to get a head cut, a gully, and that's going to keep, if you go to the next slide, keep in 2003, you'll see it's like moving upstream. It's also getting wider. It's taking up more land. And surprise, there's another gully in yellow arrow 2, because this is like the Roy Kent of head cuts. It's like, it's here, it's there, it's every freaking where. It's just trying to get to the river somehow. So every time it floods, it's like, whoop, there's another gully. Okay, next. So these were kind of the 2 predominant flow paths. They were like battling it out, battle of the gullies. So 1 and 2 both getting bigger. This is 2009. Next, 2012, this will look a little different. So still lots of action over here. If you could zoom in here, there's a whole bunch of rock. We created our own Niagara Falls by just putting a bunch of rock there. So this was like we were trying to, make some amenities in the park. We were trying to formalize some trails. We needed a bridge here at arrow number 4. So we kind of like covered up the erosion a little bit, and the engineer was like, hey, you need, this 24-foot concrete spillway. And we were like, what can you do for less? And this was less. So then, let's see, 2012, 2013, less is what you get here. So this whole channel started to erode again. It did what it wanted to do. The bridge is still there. 2013, 2015, bridge is gone. So now we're back to, next slide. We're back. Thank you, Wayne and Garth. Okay, so this is bad. Gotta fix it, right? But, it's a city, tight on money. So we have to ask, next slide. Oh gosh, no, wait, this is a creek freak moment. Pause. Okay, so what do creeks and rivers like to do? They like to transport sediment. It's like one of their biggest jobs. It's like take erosion that happens upstream, it's a natural thing, move it downstream, and it'll move sand, cobble, gravel, boulders. And now you can tell all your friends that when you see the bend in the river, the outside bend is usually where you see the big cut bank. And then on the inside bend is where you camp on the gravel bar. So like secret beach, swim, swim, swim. So if you go back to 1940, which is our earliest aerial, I don't know how we had a plane and a camera, but here it is. You can see no Longhorn Dam. So the river is doing what rivers do. They transport sediment. And this river did a great job because this entire yellow dotted area is just a sandbar. That when we put the dam in, no longer had flood flows. And so it's just like, okay, well, just grow some grass then and you'll never know I'm there until you put a freaking channel right through it. Oh God. Okay, so think now like fire hose on a sandbox. This is, sorry, nerdy engineering things. This is our geotechnical boring. 40 feet of clean sand. I'm talking like, put your volleyball court on it. Okay, next slide. City. It's like, we don't have a lot of money. What if we do nothing? Is it cheaper than doing something? The answer is no, because head cuts move upstream. And so this entire Country Club Creek West, all the way to Ben White, is susceptible to a 5-ish elevation change. So think of a canyon just moving its way through Southeast Austin. And when I got to I'm presenting to the executives, we can't do nothing. Well, I just had to get to it'll take out Wickersham Bridge and then Riverside Bridge. It's okay, fine, we'll do something. So doing something is better than doing nothing here. Next slide. Okay, so what do we have to do? We just create little mini Niagara Falls. So we know we have to get 24 feet of grade out of this channel. This channel is sand, it wants to be flat. And so what we have to do is we have to give it steps. It can be sand in between, it can be all crazy and wild, but then when it steps down, we have to give it a concrete structure. We call it a drop structure or a grade control. I will tell you, in Watershed, we do not like concrete in our creeks, so don't get the wrong idea about us. But this was an extreme situation that was man-made. So we had to drop, 3 drops down to the river. I think next slide. Oh, Creek 3, this is it. So we started design. I wasn't. We'd hire very smart consultants to do this type of design, and they call and they're like, "Hey, we are busting the edges of computational models and industry best practices and any kind of guidance because 24 feet in sand, we don't know what to do with it. Okay, we think we know, but we're really worried you're gonna spend millions of dollars and then it's doesn't work. So we built a scale model, which was the coolest thing ever, and I almost just stayed in this lab and was I'll just mop your floors forever. Cool other geeky thing is that this is not sand, it is crushed walnut shells. Because you can see our little drop structure, everything is scaled down. You can't scale down sand because then you get into clay and silt, and then that's cohesive, it has strength that sand doesn't have, so we couldn't model with that. So the density is actually a proxy for size with walnut shells. Okay, next slide. Okay, construction is really a lot. So construction is very destructive. We had to get in there and basically rebuild this entire channel. There's more pictures of construction, but this was the whoa. I've also been doing this. I've worked for the city for 21 years. This never doesn't surprise me. It is always just oh, did we really need to do this? Yes, we did. Okay. So 2025, yes, construction took 3 years. I'm sorry, Jordan. But we were going as fast as we could. So now we have a bridge with a drop structure, and then a drop structure upstream and downstream. And next slide. So when you go across this bridge, you can think of the ancient historic sandbar, 40 feet of sand beneath your feet that was delivered by the Colorado River undammed for tens of thousands of years. I'm not a geologist. You can think of the follies of engineering, the hubris of the 70s. You can think of the decades it took us to actually get this right. But I am telling you that it is, it's really good. It's a good project. Thank you.
What? Janna, she said this is not a story about her bike life, but it's kind of a story about all of our bike life, and will continue to be a part of our bike life, because if you haven't been through this area, you know this is one of the best areas to bike around in, and we're so lucky to have people like Janna. So happy to have a female engineer working with our city. So when I heard about Janna, I immediately became a fan and then found her, and I'm so glad that she was willing to come and shared all of that with us. Wasn't that pretty cool? I mean, I think. Also, I wanted to quickly shout out that it is still International Women's Month. So big round of applause for all of the women cyclists here tonight. Thank you. We have 2 more storytellers, and they are both women. I'm so excited for these last 2 storytellers. And then we have wild card and community plugs. So just a reminder, also more prizes, 3 more prizes. I'm so thankful to have Eddie here, who's going to introduce our next storyteller. Take it away, Eddie.
Hello, everybody. It's my honor to introduce the next storyteller, Kira McCool. Kira McCool's story is about drawing comics and riding bikes, and drawing comics about riding bikes and all the places it could take you. She has a really cool zine that she handed me, only on a bike. It's mine. If you guys want to check it out, you can look at it, but it's mine because she gave it to me. She's a native Austinite. She rides and races bikes with Violet Crown. She also sits on the board of Safe Streets Austin, and she runs a DIY art gallery with her husband in her garage called Good Luck Have Fun Gallery. Give it up for Kira.
Hey everybody. Having a good night? Yeah. It's Blake's birthday. Can we all wish Blake a happy birthday?
Okay, I have like a bunch of slides. Do you want to just, I don't know, can I give you like a sign or something?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, cool.
Okay, hey everybody. I'm gonna be talking about making a bike scene. This is a personal story, so thank you for listening.
There's gonna be loads, so just heads up.
Okay, my friend Rafi started drawing these autobiographical comics in 2022, and they were pretty silly, and they were pretty fun, and they inspired me to think about, you know, art doesn't have to be hard, it can just be for you, and it can be a funny little joke. And Rafi's comics made me think about these comics I used to see. Remember when there were websites? Like there were more websites around? I would say this is probably like 2015, 2014. There was this website called Fancy People Adventures, and it was just this guy's dumb comics that he was drawing, and I really, really liked them a lot. Here's another one, kind of didn't mean anything, just totally weird and silly. But I totally love this stuff. And I actually went to the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, and they had a show that had that kind of art in it. These just weird, silly comics. And I really liked it so much. This was in 2013. I liked it so much that I even, oh wait, let's look at another one. I mean, it's incredible stuff. I liked it so much that I actually wrote an email to the artist. I looked him up, and just so you know, the Museum of Fine Arts, it's a legitimate institution, but this show was hung by the bathroom. But I really liked it, and I wrote the artist an email. It was just a little fan email. And we're gonna fast forward. We're getting to the bikes now, okay? Remember 2016? Like the good times? I don't know if anyone remembers Ken Bone, but probably if you're like me, take you right back to 2016. Okay. 2016, I moved to Boston. I graduated from college, I moved to Boston, and I decided the first thing I was gonna do was gonna be buy a bike and ride it everywhere. And that's exactly what I did. It was really like the first thing I did when I got to Boston. I went on Craigslist. I found this bike. It was a Shogun. Yeah, and it weighed about 1 million pounds. It had shifting right here. And I rode it everywhere, and I learned how to ride without handlebars, which I thought was so cool. And I learned how to do this before I figured out that you could shift the bike. But I rode this thing everywhere. I rode it to work. I had a 7-mile commute. I don't know what I was thinking. I just moved straight there, got straight on the bike and rode everywhere. And just a tip, if any of y'all ever go to Boston, biking is really the best way to get around because the cars are terrible. The T's always broken. It's super flat. Just hop on the bike and go. But this bike, I wasn't just commuting. I was riding everywhere. Another thing about Boston, you really gotta dress for the weather. So this was not a fair weather thing. The bike was how I got around, and so I geared up, got some of these big lobster gloves to get around. And I even rode this bike in an event called the Trek Across Maine. It was a 3-day bike event. And when I tell you the struggle it was to get the bike onto my shoulder to take this photo, because it really weighed about 1 million pounds. But I totally love this thing. I totally fell in love with biking when I moved to Boston, and I've been riding ever since. Now, another thing, when I moved to Boston, I wrote that artist another email, and I said, hey, I just moved here, I just got my first apartment, I would love to get some art for the apartment. And he not only wrote me back, but he invited me to his studio for a studio visit. And I was like, well, aren't I Miss Cool? He's invited me to see his art studio? Yeah, I'm gonna take him up on that. So I went and saw Tim. This is the artist, Tim's art studio. This is him painting a mural, pretty cool. And he is a legitimate professional artist, so all of his artwork was way too expensive for me, but he did sell prints, and I bought one of the prints to go in my bathroom. I couldn't find a good picture of it, but it says, "The human butt, one of nature's most compelling creations. Will we ever learn the secrets of its inner workings?" Fine art in the apartment. But I rode my bike to Tim's studio, the artist Tim, and we became friends and we started riding bikes together. And from that very first meeting, we were talking about bikes, we were riding bikes, we rode all around in Boston. As we got to know each other, we just kept riding and we kept on riding until we got married. The applause for the wedding, like that rocks. So now we're in Austin. We've left Boston. We've moved to Austin. This is in Pease Park, and we live nearby to Pease Park, and we decided, since we don't have a car, we've got this nice house with an empty garage. Let's open an art gallery in the garage. And so we did that. Here's a picture of one of the first shows. This was still during the pandemic. So it started out a little bit small, but then we've had some more shows. Since then, we actually got to give a shout out to the Chronicle. We were voted best art gallery in a garage. So, and we're not the only one, I have to say. So it's a competitive category. And one of the shows that we always wanted to do, okay, wait, back up, before we get back to that. Sorry, yeah, no, you can keep going. So, Rafi was drawing these comics. I'd always liked kind of the lo-fi comics, and I decided I'm gonna start drawing some comics of my own. And they're not pretty, but they just say a little bit about what's going on. They help me remember the things that I experienced. This really happened to me at Randall's. Just little moments that happen, and it's like, am I ever gonna remember this? Well, I'll just draw it and then I'll remember it later. But I love riding bikes, and so a lot of my comics ended up being about riding bikes. And I drew pretty often, and I try to draw every day. And eventually I had a little set of drawings about riding bikes. Here's one, if you've ever crossed underneath 6th Street on the highway. It's a bit scary. But so we decided we were gonna do an art show in our gallery that was bike related. Something I had hoped to do for a really long time, and if you ride bikes around here, you probably know the bike people and the art people have a lot of overlap. So there's a lot of cyclists who make art. There's a lot of artists who love to ride bikes. So we did a show last November called Life Cycle, and it was really great. Shout out the artists that were part of it. But as a part of the show, I decided I would compile those drawings that I did into a zine. And a zine is just a little piece of paper rag that you can draw yourself. You can print it on your own printer, or you can print it at Office Depot if that's what you want to do. And so I made a zine about all my bike drawings, and I put them all together. And I have a few copies here that I'll pass around. And let's look at a few more of the drawings. So yeah, I didn't put a whole lot of them in here because it's better to just see the zine itself, but capturing precious memories, riding the bike with friends, riding the bike alone, watching the seasons change, smelling the smells, feeling the feels. That's what it's all about. Keep drawing, keep riding. Thank you so much.
evening, folks. My name is Cheryl. I'm here to introduce your next speaker, Liz Murphy. Liz enjoys traveling, hiking, and the outdoors, and finds biking adventures on her international travels as well. I talked with Liz just before we started this night, and it's not a sad ending because she shared with me that insurance covered it, but I want you to give her a little extra love because her bike of 16 years was stolen not too long ago. Liz, are you ready? Liz? Liz? There she is.
Yeah, that bike. But anyway, this is a story about a bike ride that didn't exactly go as planned. When I travel, I like to do a bike ride, and last year when I went to Japan was no different. So that's at the beginning of the bike ride. So anyway, when I was planning my ride to Japan last year, originally I was going to go alone, but I don't know, somehow I ended up with a travel partner. And I had already planned that I wanted to do this bike ride, the Shimane Kaido ride from Onomichi to Imabari. It's a 70-kilometer bike ride. And my travel partner wasn't exactly like bike ready to do this ride. So we decided to rent pedal assist bikes. And I had never really used the pedal assist bikes, but for him, I thought, okay, I will. And so we planned it all out, no problem. So our last stop before the ride was Hiroshima. And so the next morning we were going to get up and we were going to take an hour train ride to Oshima and then get the bike rental from there and ride to Imabari. So the night before, he says, I don't want to do the bike ride. Like a 5-year-old, I don't want to do the bike ride. And I said, fine, okay, I'm going to do it. I mean, I didn't come all the way here not to do it. So the next morning, I packed my day bag, because that's all I was going to take. And since we weren't going to be together, I took my my carry-on bag and I put it in storage at the train station. And I got on the train, and I got there. I got the bike rental. Well, I was really surprised with that bike rental because that thing weighed a ton. And, I'm not used to those kind of bikes. And, the guy assured me pedal assist, it's got three levels, 1, 2, 3, fine. And it's got the battery. And then all along the route, there's stops, the map, there's stops. So if your battery dies or it gets low, you can switch it for another one, fine. And so I took the ferry across and I started, and I was with a group of people, so I was fine, and I do riding by myself anyway. So I started and I get to the first bridge. So about this whole bike ride, you've got plan A, and if plan A doesn't work, you go to plan B. Well, this day I went from plan A, B, C, all the way to Z. And so I started, and one of the things that I had read about, so what it is, it's six islands, and you cross 5 bridges across to get to the end. And so I saw the first bridge, and I'm all excited, And so one of the things about the bridge is it's an uphill climb to all the bridges. So I'm on this tank of a bike. I call it the bike from hell. That's what I named it, because it was. So I'm riding up this hill, and I put it on number 1 for pedal assist. And I'm pedaling, I go, like I said, I'm not used to these bikes. And I put it on 1, and I'm pedaling, and I'm like, this doesn't feel any different. So I put it to 2, and I'm like, okay, I'm still pedaling by, using my own power. I put it on 3, and I'm like, okay, so I just pedal up. I made it all the way up to the top, and I cross over. And one thing, this bike ride is very well marked. It's got a blue line, so all I had to do was follow the blue line, and I'm pedaling along. I crossed the bridge. It's beautiful, and I'm having a great time. And, you know, I go down and I'm riding. And then I'm starting to go up the next bridge. And I'm like, what the hell, you know? This is not right. So I noticed there was a Japanese couple to the side, and I noticed the woman had a bike rental like mine, and her husband had his own bike. So I pulled over and I asked them if they knew English, and they said, you know, just a little bit. So we ended up communicating through Google Translate. And I told them, you know, that my bike, you know, even though the battery was charged, it showed it was charged, but it wasn't working. So she took my battery and put it on her bike, and sure enough, the battery was not working. So they called the bike shop, super nice. You know, I got the gozaimasu a lot, you know, thank you very much. And so we went down this little hill, and they told me to wait in front of this middle school at the gate. And they told me that the bike shop would come by with a new bike in half an hour. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, the Japanese people, they're so precisely on time. And I looked, half an hour. I swear to God, sure enough, half an hour, there he was, pulled up in the truck. And I thought, I wonder if he was waiting around the corner for the half hour to come, you know? So sure enough, there's the bike from hell, that bike. And I should have known something was up when I got the bike and it had a basket in the front. So I got the new bike. I'm all, God, this is great, you know. And as soon as I put it on one, you know, I was like cruising. And so then I went to the next bridge. I saw the bridge. I'm going up the hill. So then and by this time, you know, a lot of time had gone by. And when I had started riding, I was kind of riding, you know, there was people around. Well, by the time I got this new bike and started riding again, there was nobody around. I was the only person riding. At least I had the blue line to follow. And I was riding, and I thought, well, I've got to get to the end. I've got to get to Imabari, you know, before it gets dark. I did have a headlamp, you know, just in case. And so I'm riding along, and I look at my watch because I'm keeping track of the miles on my watch. And I had 27 miles. So I said, okay, you know, I'm about halfway there. I'm okay. And I'm riding along, and then I started thinking, God, what if the battery dies, you know? So I'm like pedaling along as fast as I can. I see the next bridge, and I'm pedaling, and I'm going up, and then, you know, I'm just like riding, following the blue line, and I'm thinking, oh my God, the battery is gonna die. So I'm even pedaling even faster, and I'm keeping track of, you know, the time on the battery, and I go, that's the last thing I need. And I look at my watch to see how many miles I have. My watch is dead. So at this point, I have no idea how many miles I have to go, you know, how many miles I've gone, like how many miles I still have to get. And, you know, it's not exactly, the sun's not exactly setting, but you can sort of start to see shadows. And I'm thinking, great, you know, I want to be out in the middle of the night. And I thought, and there's like these towns, but there's nobody around. Nobody. I'm like in the middle of nowhere, you know, riding a bike, and I thought, worst comes to worst, I'll knock on somebody's door, and I'm sure they'll feed me, and they'll bring me in, and we spend the night and everything. Japanese people are so kind. So I wasn't worried about that. But I'm pedaling as fast as I can. I gotta get to Imabari before it gets too dark. And I have no idea like how many miles I've pedaled. So one of the things, when I first started the ride, you know, I went through town, and as I was kind of going out of town, I went by this school. It must have been like a preschool, because there was this giant plaster dinosaur. Okay, I remember noticing that because it was a really big dinosaur. So I'm pedaling as fast as I can, you know, keeping track of, you know, the battery, making sure it doesn't die on me out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm pedaling, and all of a sudden, this old Japanese man comes up next to me in a scooter, and he's going like this. He's trying to get me to pull over. And I'm like, is there something wrong with the bike? You know, I'm not gonna pull over out in the middle of nowhere for this guy, you know. He's like, get me to pull over, and I'm like, no, I'm just like pedaling, I'm not gonna pull over. And so I'm riding, and I'm going on a straightaway, and then I turn the corner, and Guess what I see when I turn the corner? The dinosaur. The dinosaur. You know what I did? I went in a big frickin' circle. So, yeah, that's what I did. And the guy on the scooter, he's still after me. And I'm like, how am I gonna get this guy off of me, you know? I'm like, what does he want? You know, I don't think he was gonna do anything, you know, bad, but still, you know, what does he want? So underneath this dinosaur, I saw a couple. It looked like they had been riding bikes and they were resting and they were like laying on the grass. And, you know, they look Western, you know, the woman had blonde hair. So I think, oh, they probably speak English. So I rode my bike up to them on the grass. The Japanese guy's still following me. I don't know. And so I pulled up and I said, you guys speak English? And they said, yes. And there they are, Mary and John from Alaska. Very, very classic names. That's what I remember. And they had rented bikes for the day and they were out riding. And so the Japanese guy, he parked his scooter and he came over to us and he wanted to take pictures and stuff. And by that time I was like, no, that's okay, you know. And, you know, he kind of stood around for a little bit and then he left. And so they were on their, you know, riding for the day. And then I said, and they were on their way to go back, return the bikes at the same bike shop that I had rented mine. And I said, can I please follow you? You know, because by this time there was no way I was going to get to Imabari. You know, I just like canceled that. Forget that. So we went, so I followed them, and even with them, we got a little lost. And back to the bike shop. And they had said when they were on their bike ride during the day that, you know, they got lost, you know, the map, you know, was a little confusing. But anyway, we made it back. So there I am sitting outside the bike shop. I'm not in Imabari, so I get out the app, the routes, and I said, okay, you know, to see how long it takes to get to Imabari. And by then it was like 5 o'clock, and it would take 4 hours to get from where I was to Imabari. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that, you know, chuck the reservation. So I got on the app, and I happened to get a room at the hotel that I left Hiroshima from, and I spent the night there. But my bike ride is not quite over yet. I mean, the actual ride is. So that's me in Amsterdam, when I rode in Amsterdam. But so remember at the beginning I said my suitcase was at the train station in Hiroshima, so I was going to pick up my suitcase and go back to Tokyo and meet up with my travel partner. And so when I put the suitcase in the storage, you know, I got my little ticket. Yeah, sure, okay, you know, I made sure I didn't lose that ticket. So when I get to the lockers, I pull out the ticket, the number, and I match it up and everything. And I couldn't get my suitcase out because my ticket didn't have a QR code. I'm like, what the hell? How am I going to get my suitcase out? So I went to the information. Luckily, there was a employee there that spoke English and was super nice. And he went over and I explained to him. And then he told me to, you know, wait by the lockers, and he would get, you know, like an employee, you know, that takes care of the lockers. And he came. Well, between translating with him and the employee said he couldn't open my locker unless I had a QR code. And I'm like, well, that's why you're here, because I don't have a QR code. My suitcase is in that locker. So finally, you know, I kind of had to pay him a little extra. And, and he opened my suitcase, opened the locker, and I got my suitcase. And you know, the Japanese people, they're pretty reserved. And the information guy, I asked him, can I give you a hug? And he said yes, and I gave him a hug. I got my suitcase, and I went back to Tokyo. But anyway, I'm going back to Japan this year, but I'm not going to do a bike ride. I might do one in Kyoto, but it's not in the plan. But anyway, someday I will go back and I will do that ride, and I will rent a road bike. Not a tank. Yeah.
How's it going, y'all? You all are being such a great audience, and I've heard so much great feedback about how awesome the stories have been. That is the last featured storyteller, so let's give one big round of applause for all of the featured storytellers. You all have been so, so amazing. Thank you, thank you. I don't believe we have any wild cards. Was anyone trying to get in a sneaky last-minute wild card story? Just double checking. Going once, going twice. We had lots of stories tonight. There's always, hopefully in May, we should be having our 5-year anniversary. So you have some time. If you want to workshop your story, please feel free to reach out and we can chat all about it. I would love for you to share your story. If not at the next event, then at a future event. We try to host at least 4 events in Austin per year. But I do have 3 more prizes to give away, and they are some great prizes. So let me just do that really quick before I forget and before I lose anyone else. Okay, last 3 digits. Pull out your card. 758. What? Yeah, you were waiting. You were waiting. I have a Mantis massage. Everyone wanted that one.
Oh, yeah?
If you don't mind writing your name and email on this before you leave. It's a $50 gift card to Mantis Massage. There's the one at the check-in. Mantis Massage, local here in Austin, woman-owned, on Airport and Congress, 2 locations. I have been there. It is amazing. I highly encourage. Shout out to Mantis Massage, who has actually become my only long-term sponsor. They said they will give me a gift card for every event, which is amazing. Yeah. Once again, I am a grassroots organization, so these donations that you give are so, so helpful and really keep us inspired to keep going. We are going regardless, though. 763. That's what we want to hear, and I know this prize is best for you. This is from BikeALot on Manchaca. This is a super cute horn, and you know what this is. I don't want to like squeeze it, but I want you to see it. Do you see what it is? Do you see it? You see what this is, right? Yeah. Okay. They did this on purpose, FYI. So you know. If you know, you know. That's for you. Oh no! Okay. Okay. I believe this is our last 2 prizes. Tomii Cycles is a local bike builder. If you have not heard of Tomii Cycles, they are amazing. They make amazing dream bikes. There's actually a Tomii bike right behind me. I'm blocking. This bike belongs to one of our amazing volunteers who's over here doing a great job. James can tell you all about Tomii even more. We don't have a bike to give you. I'm sorry, not to work it up. We have 2 amazing bandanas. If you have not seen their bandanas, they are really, really cool. I'm not going to open these packages because I want these to be really, really secure for the winners. Okay, drum roll, please. Exciting. All right, 746. 7, yes? Woo! Listen. Congratulations, this is quite a prize, I tell you. Thank you. There's some stickers in there too. Okay, 739. 739. Okay, Amy! Oh my gosh! I'm gonna frisbee this to you. Are you ready? Just kidding. Amy is an amazing cyclist who also has been leading and helping with Spokesy folks, so shout out. I'm glad. I love when amazing people help on the ride. That is, I believe, hopefully I'm not forgetting, but I believe that concludes all of the prizes. You are all winners in my heart. I promise you. Thank you for coming and supporting Bike Story Night. Please stay tuned, follow. This will be recorded. This is recorded. Sorry, before I forget. Also, we have community plugs. 30 seconds to come up and plug anything, any event, organization, business that you have and you want this community to be connected with. Get up here, start a line, 30 seconds each. I know there's several people who are doing a community plug. Raise your hands. Get up here. Let's go. It's gonna be a thing. Maybe like line up, start this way. Okay, we have our first community plug. It's 30 seconds to plug anything you want. Wait, is there only gonna be 2? 3? Okay, 4? Okay, great. Okay, get up here. Ready. Diana, take it away.
Hi, it's me again. First, I want to start with a quick little poll. How many of you have been to Big Bend National Park in Texas? Raise your hand. How many of you would like to go to Big Bend National Park? There we go. So that's everybody. How do we feel about Big Bend? For those of you who've been there, say hey. So, as some of you may be aware, some of you not, this administration is planning to build a giant border wall 150 miles, yeah, we don't like this, across Big Bend. It's going to devastate the park. It's our inheritance. It's our job to protect it. And so this outrage, I know that it's an outrage a day, outrage a minute currently. So it can be overwhelming and we can all feel fatigued, but this is something critical. And so on April 4th, that's coming up Saturday, at 4. So April 4 at 4, we're all going to gather by the Capitol. This is a completely grassroots thing. There's no organization, there's no leader. It's just us, those people that care about Big Bend, those people that care about what's happening and the devastation that this could wreak. We're going to lose access to the hot springs. We're going to lose access to the Rio Grande right there. This is horrid. And they're going to put floodlights 24 hours a day. So the night sky, goodbye. I'm going to wrap it up, but I want to just share. It's my t-shirt here. It says no wall. So if you feel strongly about it, come out Saturday, April 4th at 4 by the Capitol. Let's meet there.
I'd like to invite you all to a community garden in South Austin. The South Austin Community Garden is off of South 5th near Cumberland. It's just south of the Denison condos. It's a gym in Austin, and we meet the first Saturday in the month for garden activities. The first Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., South Austin Community Garden, and our email is SOUTHATXGARDEN, southatxgarden@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, and I'll introduce you to all of the wonderful vegetables and fruit trees. And there's even the website, yes. Just Google South Austin Community Garden. You all are welcome.
Howdy y'all, I'm Jason. I ride with a group called Social Cycling Austin, and tomorrow night we are doing a Thursday night social ride, which we do every Thursday. This is a special one because we're actually going to be collaborating with the Bike Zoo. Jeremy Rose, the organizer and kind of driving force behind the Austin Bike Zoo, has invited us to his headquarters at 17th and Salina. So we're going to be riding there. The ride meets at 7:30, leaves at 8 o'clock. We meet at, where are we now? It's called Chicano Park. It's where, is it Robert E. Segovia and Chicone?
Yes, 14 Salina.
Okay, the address is 14 Salina, but the ride, it's going to be about 11, 12 miles. We're going to end at the Bike Zoo. He's going to have a bunch of bikes out that we can check out. He's going to have some stuff for us to ride, so it's going to be a good old time. Please come out and join us, and we'd love to see you around.
Hello everyone. I want to invite you if you are a woman, non-binary, trans person that is interested in mountain biking. April 18th and 19th, we are getting together at Muleshoe Bend Park. It's about an hour outside of Austin, but you can look us up. Our organization is RAR Austin, and we can link you up with bikes, gear, if that's something you're interested in. Thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna backpack off of Jason. I am also one of the ride leaders with Social Cycling Austin. I'm going to tell you about the rest of our rides that we have over the next few days. So, not with Social Cycling Austin, but we're friends of the Critical Mass Austin that meets at it meets at the Ping Pong Bridge at Industry on 5th Street. So tomorrow, the last Friday of every month, we meet up and we ride around. So Critical Mass Austin, 7 p.m. wheels down. Saturday, Social Cycling Austin has a Saturday morning capping cruise. We have a new ride leader, Roselle, starting at Palomino Coffee on the corner of 12th and Springdale. They are taking us to Honk ATX, and then we're ending at Frankenbike at Crown and Anchor, so don't miss those. And then we have a couple of spring rides returning. Monday on March 30th, Lend Your Legs with the Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired will be having their rides on Mondays when the students are in school. They will meet at 6 p.m., wheels down at 6:30 sharp. The students are on a tight schedule. You can captain a tandem or ride with a group. You want to witness the joys of riding for those unable to ride a bike on their own. It's an opportunity that brings joy to all. And then next month, on April 7th, the yoga ride also returns at Duck Solemn Hill. Wheels down at 7 p.m. They're going to ride around and then get your zen on with some very needed yoga led by certified yoga volunteer instructors. Certified yoga instructors. Whatever, you get it. Anyways, follow us on Social Cycling Austin on Facebook or Instagram for most up-to-date information on rides, events, Friends of Social Cycling Austin. We've been putting butts on bikes since 2009.
Hey everyone, I'm here to give a plug for Austin Bicycle Meals. We ride every Saturday and every other Wednesday in support of our unhoused neighbors in downtown and East Austin. Saturdays, we prepare our own sandwiches. You can meet us at the Life in the City Church on South Congress. We typically make about 150 bagged lunches every Saturday. Ride starts at 2 if you can't make it to that, and then it's a quick ride, usually 8-ish miles downtown over the course of 2 hours. So it is very slow. If you don't have racks or anything on your bike, we have panniers you can borrow, backpacks you can borrow. We even have bikes you can borrow. So there are truly no excuses to come ride with us. The Wednesday rides are at 5:30. There's actually one today, so the next Wednesday ride will be in 2 weeks, and we'd love to see y'all out there. We've got another volunteer right here.
I was going to come up earlier, but I'm going to echo with James. I did my first bicycle meals about three weeks ago, and was riding with James, and I happened to be a deadhead. I don't know if there's any deadheads in here, but one of the homeless guys was standing there. He had a Grateful Dead shirt on, and I went up to him and I said, "Oh, Grateful Dead." James took a picture of me talking to him, but it was really an incredibly spiritual moment because we connected, and a lot of these guys, people just walk by and don't pay attention to them. So we talked about a lot of concerts that we thought we had gone to when I found out that he was only like 40 years old and didn't really see Jerry Garcia, but it was an incredible moment, and Austin Bicycle Meals is a really awesome ministry, and hats off to James and all the folks that volunteered for that. So that was my story.
Thank you once again to everyone and to our wonderful sponsors and supporters of this event, Holdout Brewing Company. I can't thank them enough for lending us this space. It's really, really nice to have it. And all of the amazing people who donated, all of the amazing volunteers, thank you once again. We really can't do this without you. If you want to volunteer at a next future event, please reach out, stay connected. Thank you, Cheryl, Diana, James, Melissa, Eddie, if you're still here, Suzanne, of course, Jordan. I really am so honored to have you all here. Again, I can't reiterate how much it means to me to have this event and to have you interested in joining. So thank you so much. I hope to do this again and again and again. So please follow and stay connected. Thank you again to Get There ATX. Also, Lee, thank you. Please follow Get There ATX. But with that, I hope that you have met some friends. I hope that you have been inspired to continue to ride your bike and continue to be in community and grow community as much as you possibly can, because you know we need it more than ever. So please continue to ride your bikes. Oh, please sign up for the newsletter if you haven't. Thank you, lovely Melissa. The newsletter is there. I have some stickers also in my bin. I forgot to pull them out. I would love to give you all some. I'm gonna work hard to find them. But thank you again for joining us for Bike Story Night number 24. Have a good night.